Let's take a look at our 12.3 worksheet on Venn diagrams. So on this first Venn diagram that you're given, you're letting event A be a person that has lung cancer. So sometimes what I'll do is I know that A, but I also like to write a little reminder of what A represents. So I'm going to just put LC by the A circle. And it says event B is the event that the person is a smoker. So I'm going to put a little S for smoker by the B circle.
Anyone interested in hearing the presentation from Hazelton regarding chemical?
Alright, so anyhow, getting back to here, what we want to do then is use this Venn diagram to answer the following questions. So in question A it says, what does the point 03 in the Venn diagram represent? So here's our point 03. Notice that it is in the A circle. However, our B circle does not overlap that point 03. So it only represents the people who have lung cancer and lung cancer only. So you can look at it as 3% of the people surveyed have lung cancer, but do not smoke. All right, the next one says, what does the point 81 in the Venn diagram represent? Notice how the point 81 is outside our Venn diagram. So that represents 81% of the people surveyed. Now, since they're outside, that means they don't have lung cancer and they do not smoke. So it's both of those. So 81% of the people surveyed do not have lung cancer and do not smoke. Okay. So now C says, what is the probability that a randomly chosen person is a smoker? So now if we're looking at our smokers, that's all the probabilities that are in B. So I have to take those two probabilities and add them together and I get 0.16. D says, what is the probability that a randomly chosen person has lung cancer? So I do the same thing with my lung cancer values, which is the 0.03 and the 0.12. That adds up to 0.15. Question E asks, given that a randomly chosen person is a smoker, so we're talking about this 0.16 as our bottom value of those 16%, or that 0.16, what is the probability that the person has lung cancer? So that's the 0.12, because they have to smoke and have lung cancer. So if I take 0.12 and divide it by 0.16, I get 0.75. All right. Let's take a look at question number 2. Question number 2 says, a cell phone store manager keeps records on the customers who visit the store. Let A represent the event that the customer will purchase a phone, and B represent the event that the customer is female. Describe what each shaded part of the Venn diagram represents. So again, I'm going to note that what these values mean. So A here represents that they buy cell phone. I suppose I could have put BCP for that. While event B, whoops, I wanted to switch colors there, and of course it didn't take the color. Event B is that they are female. So if I look at this, I'm only looking at the people that are buying a cell phone but not the females. So this must also include the males. So this area are the people, or I should say, not people, males who buy a cell phone. Alright, so now let's take a look at the next one. Now here we're looking at the area that's outside buying a cell phone. So they don't buy a cell phone and they're not female, so they must be male. So this area would be the males that do not or don't buy a cell phone. So just to remember with your Venn diagrams, like in this case here, this would be this area right here. This has nothing to do with my answer, but this would be females that buy a cell phone. This would be females. This little area here, this little chunk of B here, would be females that don't buy the cell phone. This area here would be the males that buy the cell phone. And then this outside area here would be the males that don't buy cell phone. Okay. All right, let's move on to page number 2. Okay, just more practice with this. It says, in a recent study evaluated the diet and medical records of 10,000 women, those who closely followed the Mediterranean diet, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, fish, olive oil, were more likely to live past age 70. So it said 4,000 of the women followed the Mediterranean diet. 3,300 of the women in the study lived over 70 years of age. 2,920 of the women followed the Mediterranean diet and lived to be over 70. Wow, a lot of numbers there. It says, let A be the number of women who followed the Mediterranean diet. So right away I'm going to go Mediterranean diet. And B be the event that they lived over age 70. So lived over 70. Okay. So it just kind of helps me see which one is which. It says, A says complete the Venn diagram above, or actually in this case to the right. So we want to start with their intersection. Again, this is going to be the women who were on the Mediterranean diet and lived over age 70. So that starts with the 2,920. So 2,920 did both. Okay. So now I'm going to look at all of those that I'm going to move up. And here I have 4,000 of the women followed the Mediterranean diet. So that's this entire circle. Okay. I have already accounted for 2,920 of them. So this number here is not 4,000. It's 4,000 minus the 2,920 that I've accounted for. So if I subtract that, I believe it should be 1,080. These two numbers here should equal the 4,000. So do not forget to subtract. It's the biggest mistake I see students do on the Venn diagrams. Okay? So now this last number here that we're looking at here, the 3,300, lived to be over 70 years old. So live to be over 70 must encompass this entire circle, 3,300. I've accounted for 2,920 of them, so I still need 380 to make my total of, in this case, 3,300 that lived to be over 70. Now there's still one number I need to get, and that is the number that's outside that didn't do the Mediterranean diet and didn't live past the age of 70. So one of the things I need to do is I need to add up these three numbers, okay, and subtract from 10,000. So I know these two numbers is 3,300 plus another 1,080 is 4,380 so far within my circles. If I subtract 10,000 from that, that gives me the 5,620. That's the number that should go outside my Venn diagram. Okay. All right, so now using the Venn diagram, I can answer these questions. B says, what is the probability that a randomly chosen women live to be over 70? Well, we know that there is 3,300 women that did over the 10,000 total women, so that is 0.33. Okay. So C says, let's say we only consider the women who ate the Mediterranean diet. So we're concentrating on the 4,000 women that ate the Mediterranean diet. So our bottom number is going to be 4,000. My top number then is, what is the probability that a randomly chosen woman from the group who ate the Mediterranean diet lived to be over 70? So now it's my intersection of 2920. So if I divide those two numbers, do that here, 29 divided by 4,000, and I get 0.73. All right, the last one says, what can you conclude from comparing parts B and C? Okay, so if you look at this, if you ate the Mediterranean diet, 73% of the women live past 70. However, altogether, it was only 33% chance. So what can you conclude? A higher percent of the women who ate the Mediterranean diet lived past 70 than whether or not you didn't. All right, number 4. Last one here. It says the following table gives the classification of 1,000 workers from a large city. So it says complete the Venn diagram with these numbers. Let A equal men, so A is going to be our men, and B will be covered by health insurance, so has health insurance. So here we start with men who have health insurance. So that's the intersection. They have to be men, they have to have health insurance, so 490 goes in the middle. So men that do not have health insurance, so we're talking still the men, but they don't have health insurance, that would go outside. So now the last two numbers, we're now talking women that have health insurance. So we're talking health insurance, but they're women, so they're outside the men's circle. And then our women that don't have health insurance, so these are not men, which are women, and not health insurance, 130. So it's the knots on both of them. So now the first question says, find the probability of A. The probability that they are basically a man within the survey. So one of the things I need to do is actually get the totals. So I need to actually add up all of these numbers. So I have to go 160 plus 490 plus 220 plus 130. So this is 350 plus another 650. There's a total of 1,000 people surveyed within this. So to get the probability of men, it would be the 160 and the 490 which add up to 650 out of 1,000. So we have 0.65. Probability of B, which would be the probability of people having health insurance. So that would be the 490 and the 220. So that adds up to 710 over 1,000 or 0.71. So now the next one is the probability of A and B. So both have to be true, so that's the intersection. So 490 over 1,000 or 0.49. And the last one is probability of A but not B. So that's this value right here, A but not health insurance. So man and not health insurance. So that would be 160 over 1,000 or 0.16. All right, that ends your video.